first off, just tell us who you are and how you got involved with the South Shore Food Bank.
Oh, thank you for having me here today. My path to the South Shore Food Bank is a long and winding one. I was in the hospitality industry for years. I have a lot of experience with nonprofits. When we moved to the United States, I was in financial for 2 years and then started my own food distribution business. Ran that for 10 years, and when I closed it, I made one of the best decisions of my life and took a job with Weymouth Food Pantry, where I've been for 4 years. And during the pandemic, we kind of reassessed things and realized there was an opportunity or a need for an organization like South Shore Food Bank, and so here we are.
So you expanded from just Weymouth to South Shore?
Yeah, so we still run Weymouth Food Pantry as a separate brand, for Weymouth by Weymouth, and the South Shore Food Bank is over and above that.
Wow. So what's your role within the organization?
I'm their executive director, so it's fun. Working for a nonprofit, you're always so under-resourced, but I love it because you get to wear so many hats, so it's never boring.
Yeah, what are some of the hats you wear on a more frequent basis?
Oh my goodness, from fundraising to this Saturday I was driving a truck, and everything and everywhere in between, attending opportunities like this to tell people about what we do, meeting with corporate sponsors, and everything in between.
So for those that don't know, what is the South Shore Food Bank?
So during COVID, I mentioned that just now, one of the things that really came to light was how much communities rely on local grassroots organizations to, meet the gap during any kind of crisis. I mean, on an ongoing, regular basis anyway, but food insecurity is prevalent in our communities, even though we don't see it. Greater Boston Food Bank released a report just the other day saying that 1 in 3 people experienced food insecurity during 2021. That's 1 in 3. That's a big number. I mean, that means you, me, and one other guy, one of us, right? And so the local grassroots organizations like Marshfield Food Pantry here in town, they do a phenomenal job. I mean, really had to step up in a big way during COVID. We all saw the long lines on TV. And what we realized was that on the South Shore, the infrastructure to support these food pantries just doesn't exist. There's no warehousing space, there's no loading docks, there's no tractor-trailer access to a lot of these small food pantries. And so when the need increased, there was one of the biggest struggles was finding a way to get the food to the organizations that are feeding people. And so the South Shore Food Bank was born.
So what would you describe the mission as?
Our mission is to increase access and improve equity, food equity on the South Shore. So we want to make sure that the food pantries can access more fresh food. We want to focus on health as it relates to food access. People who are relying on food pantries for help have very few choices, and so it's very important that we have healthy options for them so that they can meet whatever, live healthy lives, but also meet any specific requirements they have. And then, town to town, the issue is solved by each community. And some communities are better supported than others, and so some communities have better access to food than others, and we want to try and level the playing field.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you work with all the different towns in South Shore, and I'm sure their needs are different and the support's different. So how'd you go originally getting about creating the relationships with them?
Well, so we started off, first and foremost, our relationship with Greater Boston Food Bank is integral to this whole network. And we started off opening a shared delivery site. So that means that Greater Boston Food Bank, instead of having somebody like Marshfield Food Pantry go into Boston to pick up their order, Greater Boston Food Bank will deliver a whole tractor-trailer load of orders to us in Rockland, and Marshfield Food Pantry can come and pick it up from Rockland instead of driving into Boston. So we have created that facility. We have fridge and freezer space that food pantries can use if they need to store something. Whole Foods Markets just donated a very beautiful refrigerated van that food pantries can borrow. So it's like in the pool, and any one of the local food pantries on the South Shore who wants to use it to go and pick up or rescue food from a restaurant or a grocery store can do that. So it's really through infrastructure that we've tried to strengthen the network and help move food around. But not only that, we're launching a brand new program, so I'm super excited about it. Right. It's kind of my baby. We're launching the South Shore Food Bank Leadership Program. So in our efforts to address equity town to town, we realize that often in various communities, these organizations are entirely volunteer run, and people are, I want to say, thrust into the role of leading these pantries because they were volunteers or, raised their hands. And there are some skill sets that are super helpful if you're going to run a food pantry. And so not only are we investing in the physical infrastructure of moving food around the South Shore, but we've created this program. It's a 4-day program. Okay. And it's open to all the food pantries and food security organizations on the South Shore. We're hoping that the leaders, top leaders in the food pantries, whether they're volunteers or employees, will apply. And it really just takes everybody through, a range of skill sets that are helpful. So day one is a super fun bus tour of different food pantries. Marshfield's actually on the list. Okay. I love their location because it's so community centric. Yeah. But just to see how do different food pantries do different things. We all have challenges. How do we cope with them? What decisions have we made? What solutions have we implemented? And what ideas can we share? So the idea is to just foster this communication between food pantry leaders. And then the next day is, for instance, a marketing day. We'll have somebody coming in. We have Jennifer Sapir-Whitman, actually, who is phenomenal from Sapir Events, coming in to talk about running a nonprofit event. How big should it be? Do you want a 5K? Do you want a gala? What resources will that take? Yeah. How much money can you expect to raise or hope to raise? Who should you look for partnerships? That kind of thing. So she's, been in the field a long time. She's at the top of her game. I'm super excited about the caliber of presenters in this whole program. Yeah. So we're really relying on local business talent to come in and share skills with our food pantry leaders in a range of topics. So, event planning might be one of them. How to write grants might be another. We have a business consultant coming in to talk about the art of communication and collaboration and how to do a quick and dirty one-page business plan. So there's a huge range of skills that we're going to be sharing with these food pantry leaders. And I think it's the best opportunity we have to try and strengthen our network because we've invested in the infrastructure and now we want to invest in the people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So as executive directors, we become passionate about our organizations. They mean a lot to us. They're our baby in some ways. Why is the food bank so special to you?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's special to me for a range of reasons. Seeing people who have come through our door at Weymouth Food Pantry for help and meeting them and hearing some of their stories, it's so heartbreaking. And food is so integral to our ability to do anything. Sometimes you'll talk to somebody and they'll say, oh, why don't they just get a job? Well, if you're hungry and you haven't eaten in 2 or 3 days, it's not that easy. Food is integral to how we feel about ourselves, our confidence, our ability to put our best foot forward, whether we're in school or in college or at work, wherever. So I think it's very personal to me on that level. And then also seeing the hard work of our volunteers. So many really wonderful people show up week after week. And, it's hard work. We're moving a lot of food. And they're so committed. And I'm so inspired by their generosity and their commitment to neighbors and their community spirit that I just want to do what I can to pave the way and make sure that we make it so that this is sustainable, that this network of these volunteers and these organizations doing this critical work and meeting this very important need is strong and sustainable and will be here for years.
How many volunteers do you have?
Oh my goodness, we have probably around a pool of around 150
Wow.
volunteers that work with us on a regular basis.
So, what's the organization's most urgent needs?
Well, for South Shore Food Bank, it's definitely money. We're a fairly new organization. We've only been open for 7 or 8 months. So not a lot of people have heard about us. They don't know about us. So fundraising is, first we have to educate and then we have to, ask for support. So we're in that critical beginning stage of getting going and ramping up. And so, asking for support is where we're at right now.
So jumping back to volunteering, so if someone wants to get involved or volunteer, what's the best way they can do it?
Oh, on our website. We have a beautiful website, so you can read all about some of the things we've done. We're also on social media, so, like us, follow us. You'll hear of opportunities there. But definitely on our website, and just reach out to us.
Is there certain things that you're looking for in volunteers, or
warehouse staff, drivers? We do deliveries sometimes on weekends regularly. So Saturday drivers, having just a pool of people we can call to say, hey, so and so's out and this one has a soccer game. Are you free? Can you help? That's awesome. So drivers, warehouse hands, people who don't mind lifting boxes, right. Those kinds of things.
You mentioned the website. Is that the best way for people to find out more about the organization?
Yes, it is. www.southshorefoodbank.org.
So, as you and I both know, the nonprofit world, it can be really rewarding, but at the same time, it can be really, really challenging. What are some of the biggest challenges you face with the food bank?
It's the nonprofit world runs on such a shoestring budget always. And so it's just we're always under-resourced, and we're busy, So I think that's one of our biggest challenges. And it's not unique to us. I think most nonprofits will tell you the same thing. Hiring staff is expensive, so we all wear many hats. We all work hard. Even our volunteers, so we're grateful for that. But that's one of our biggest challenges.
How big is your staff?
I have 7 staff members.
Wow.
We just added one.
You're a nonprofit. It's a pretty good size.
That's a good size, yeah. And, like I said, 7 staff members and 150 volunteers who we see regularly, weekly.
That's amazing.
We're very lucky.
So we talked about the challenges. What's the most rewarding part? What's that biggest success you've had?
Oh, well, we set goals for ourselves when we started this South Shore Food Bank. We had ideas about how we were going to impact the food security network on the South Shore and what we were going to try and accomplish. And so we wanted to make it easier for pantries to access food. Well, we've done that. We wanted to increase access to food. So we wanted to make sure more food got onto the South Shore. We've done that. We are going to bring in over 1 million pounds of food over and above what is would already have been on the South Shore. 1 million pounds extra, and 65% of that is fresh produce and fresh fruits and vegetables. So super proud of that, that we've increased the access to fresh fruit and vegetables to that extent. And then, of course, the leadership program. I have high hopes for that, and its ability to really make significant and sustainable changes and impacts to the strength of the network on the South Shore.
How did you increase fruit and vegetables?
We worked with Greater Boston Food Bank. So food pantries have a regular order schedule with Greater Boston Food Bank, and it depends on the size of the food pantry. So some food pantries can access, they'll be open once a week or 2 or 3 times a week, but maybe they only have access to Greater Boston Food Bank once a month or twice a month, depending on their order schedule. So we worked with Greater Boston Food Bank to implement a brand new program where we have a tractor-trailer load of fresh fruit and vegetables delivered to our warehouse. And all the food pantries on the South Shore can access that weekly. So they don't have to wait for an order or wait for a certain time of month. If you think about it, if a food pantry is open every day and they can only get an order once a month, then that first week people are lucky and they get fresh fruits and vegetables, and for the rest of the week it's rice and macaroni. So we really wanted to make sure that that was one of our priorities, and so we've done it. The fresh fruit and veggies arrive every week, and food pantries come and pick it up, and it's awesome to see. And the volunteers and the food pantry directors who come in are so thrilled to be able to do that. So it's very rewarding.
That's so cool. What's that one thing that may surprise people that don't know much about the South Shore Food Bank?
I think most people would be surprised to know how big a problem food insecurity is on the South Shore. Most people that I speak to who come through the food pantries we serve will talk about how they don't qualify for SNAP benefits, or they just miss them, or they get $11 a month to shop for their family. Seniors are skipping meals, and it affects kids too. Weymouth Food Pantry alone has 300 kids on its backpack program. So 300 children that are experiencing some level of food insecurity that we're helping on a regular basis and supporting on a regular basis. It's pervasive. It's a much bigger issue. Just because it's invisible, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And in that same report I referenced earlier from Greater Boston Food Bank, they cite that pride is the number one reason people still don't seek help. And we've seen over the past, couple years with the pandemic that people just haven't had a choice. They've had to swallow their pride and come to us for help. And, it's really great that the communities have rallied the way they have, and we've been able to be there to support them. This year, in fact, the other thing that would be surprising for people to know is that food insecurity has actually increased. We are going to see numbers like we saw in 2020 this year in terms of how many people we're helping and the amount of food we're distributing. Wow. The economy, the rising gas prices, the increased cost in grocery prices, the high rents on the South Shore have all contributed. They've created this perfect storm, if you will. We're seeing so many more seniors living on a fixed income who just can't stretch their dollars anymore, and many more families, moms and dads with kids, coming to us for help.
Wow. Before we wrap up, is there anything you'd want our listeners to know about the South Shore Food Bank?
Just that we're working hard, we're doing great work, and we're doing it to support food pantries in every town. So, look us up, come volunteer, learn what we're about, and, reach out to your local food pantry too, because we're all busy and we could all use a little help.
Great. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure.